Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be going over this week's epic weapons cache, and wow, there is one weapon that I am extremely excited about. So this violent shiny Kukri. This weapon is truly unique. The third slot is the double attack and crit up that you can get on typical blue weapons, and the fourth slot is actually a slow ability that alert weapons can be crafted. So this weapon is very different. You can get a lot of power out of it and a lot of control if you decide to keep the fourth slot or if you decide to keep the third slot. I kind of like that you have options with this weapon because you have this very hard-hitting weapon. It has 35% attack, a very large bonus to AP when attacking, which typically is enough for most characters because so long as you run a huge AP lead, that should give you the 30 AP or the 10 base AP that you need, and then a very large bonus gives 8, and so 20 base AP plus 10 from a huge lead plus 8 equals 38. Multiply that by 2, that's 76 AP over 2 turns, or it works really well with a Dr. Stevens or a Gal, for example. This weapon honestly looks really awesome to me, and it seems like we're getting this trend of shiny weapons. We have a shiny Kukri, but then also in the black market, we have a shiny Desert Eagle. So I'm wondering if this is kind of going to be a constant thing that we're going to see, where we kind of get a mix-up of different abilities, or just good 5-star weapons that have good crafts on them, because that would truly be exciting. This type of weapon, I imagine being on a toon that hits really hard on their basic attacks, or does multiple attacks with their basic attacks as a rush. So for example, Henyon would be a good toon for it. Nor, not so much, just because when she rushes, although she does 2 basic attacks on her rush, when she kills a toon, she regains 100% AP and gives 50% AP to 2 other toons on a kill. And then she also has follow-up. So this weapon could be decent on her, but what I like about her original weapon is that when she starts to rush, she doesn't really stop, kind of similar to a Rov. Also, what I find to be pretty interesting is that this third slot ability, if she gets the double attack, then she also gets plus 40 crit for 2 turns, which works really well with the fourth slot on this weapon. This fourth slot of the weapon can proc a number of times depending on how many attacks you hit. Now, of course, slow does not stack, but what's nice is that you have multiple chances of slow being applied, and slow is a great ability to use to help control the enemy because it makes it more difficult for the enemy toon to rush. Basically, you would take the enemy toon's AP, so let's say 76 AP, and multiply it by 1.33 for the 33%. All of a sudden, that toon now needs 102 AP in order to rush. So this is a very effective weapon to use. It's a very aggressive weapon, but you also have kind of like a safeguard. So if the enemy toon, if you hit them hard enough, you're giving them more AP, but you also have a chance of slowing them up. So it's a really nice and neat combination. Of course, you could also get rid of the slow ability and put on Crit Expert, for example, so that every single attack is a critical hit. Now, the important thing to remember, though, is that although every single attack is a critical hit, if a double attack goes off, the secondary attack will be made at 175% attack, and you won't get the 1.5 times crit damage bonus. Or it might be a higher bonus if you run a crit damage mod set, or a crit damage mod itself. So that's an important point to notice and to kind of remember. That's why I personally like running attack set mods on a lot of my toons, like Priya, for example, because attack set mods will influence and help with damage spread, while crit damage helps with primary damage to the central toon that you're attacking. And on the double attack on a weapon like this, it won't even come into play at all. But attack will, because this is influenced by attack. Anyway, it's a really awesome weapon, and it's one that I would actually pull on because of how unique it is and how many different ways you can work with it. The next weapon on this weapons cache is Lance's sturdy dagger. We've seen this weapon a number of times. Obviously, the impenetrable defense is really, really nice. As I mentioned, being able to apply slow to the enemy can really help with controlling them. Now, the downside is people sometimes do run attack up when slowed. I actually have a specific team where I run attack up when slowed on a character because I see some teams with all these impenetrable defense weapons. So if I slow myself on purpose, use unnatural AP gain, then I basically have an attack up when taunted, attack up when impaired, except it's attack up when slowed, and I can still rush, no problems, no issues, just need some unnatural AP gain. And the fourth slot on this weapon is pretty nice. For every debuff on the enemy team, you get 5% defense bonus as a limited time turn-based defensive bonus. So this can be really useful because even if your third slot gets disarmed, for example, if you have any debuffs on the enemy, you're at least gaining some defense that'll help you be a little more sturdy. So I kind of like how this weapon interacts with itself so that there's a safeguard kind of in place even if you are disarmed. Moving on, the last weapon in this epic weapons cache is Sergio's violent tactical shotgun. The third slot on it is pretty nice. It helps you create some turn 1 attack teams if you want to use a blue toon like Priya or Princess or someone else like Mercer even. That 20% to AP to self is so important. The last slot is more of an onslaught type of weapon. Like you would start with some additional attack because of the 20% AP to self. But for example, if you're rushing Priya with this weapon, she automatically loses 100% of her AP when she rushes and does not get the attack bonus from that fourth slot, which is kind of a pretty big downfall, a downside to it all, because you kind of expect to get the attack booster, but because you don't, it kind of just ends up being a detriment. So personally, I ended up pulling on this epic weapons cache. I really want either of those yellow weapons. I think both of them would serve me really well on either attack or on defense, on the correct toon of course. And unfortunately, I am very unlucky. I get these 3 random parts and then a few armory tokens, so little disappointed, but you know, live and learn. That's RNG for you. Now I'm going to showcase some gameplay with the yellow weapon that I just tried to pull for. I'm going to show both filming of Noor with her normal weapon versus Noor with the shiny Kukri. As I mentioned in the video previously, I think Noor does better or should do better with her natural weapon when it's upgraded basically perfectly. But I'm also going to show film where Henyon has his normal weapon as well as the weapon swap, just to kind of showcase a few of the differences, just to see the effectiveness of it. I know that it's always better to kind of show you guys rather than just tell you about it. As I mentioned previously, Noor's greatest asset is that she regains 100% AP on a kill, and she gives 50% AP to teammates when she rushes. This is a devastating combination and really makes her a force to be reckoned with. This was a simple 2-turn kill, and she just kept rushing. And now we're going to switch over to this weapon on Noor instead. It didn't come out perfectly, but it did come out good enough. And what we're going to see is that even when she gets those double attacks, she might be doing a little bit more damage on occasion, but overall, I just think she's less effective because she rushes, great. She's able to produce between 2 to 4 attacks. In this case, she just did her normal 2, but now we can't rush her, which is kind of unfortunate. She does hit really hard on her basic attacks, especially with each attack being a critical hit and any double attacks being at 175% attack, but it's just not enough. It's not fast enough. So Noor is definitely a toon where you would keep her bound weapon because of its flexibility, because of its huge attacking power. And now we're going to go over to Henyon. As you see, like his double attack weapon, he has a 50% chance to make a second attack. And that percentage of a double attack is 150%, which is fairly decent. Now, the weapon that we'll be swapping on him next, it's only a better chance, which is about 35%. So you're losing out on 15% of how right now he hits a double attack 15% more times on average than he would if he had the shiny Kukri. Now, with the shiny Kukri, he is getting 25% more attacking damage, but is it worth it? That's what it really comes down to, and it's difficult to really know. Now, Henyon is another toon that on his rush can make 2 attacks, which means with the weapon he has currently, or with the weapon swap, he could make up to 4 attacks. It's just based on how much damage he's going to provide, as well as how consistently he'll provide it. Personally, I would do the weapon swap just because I am looking for more power that's going to help me win faster or lose faster in war. And with war, it's all about timing. So I have a team that I'm constructing that I'm going to use an S-Class Henyon in, just because his rush is really, really useful. He's able to stun a couple enemies, apply some bleed, and apply a high amount of damage. I think it's a nice combination. It makes to be a great kit. Now his active skill doesn't get as much use because although it's 60% AP gain, it also gives him crit chance. But if I do craft crit expert and every single time he's going to have a critical hit, then half of the active skill is useless. I definitely do think that Henyon's kit is very well composed and probably one of the best well composed kits of most, if not all, S-Class toons. I like that every single part kind of works together with his kit, and with other toons, you can sometimes see some, I guess, not synergy, the opposite of synergy with them, where just something doesn't add up, where something doesn't work perfectly with the rest of their kit. And I know nothing should ever be that perfect, but at the same time, with how long it takes to level up some of these S classes to get them ready, you know, you kind of expect them to be a little bit better, a little bit more well composed, a little bit more synergetic. Anyway, as we see, Henyon is able to produce more damage when he rushes. Now, it's very minimal. It's very difficult to see because, again, it's only a 25% difference on his attacking power on a potential double attack. So it's really a toss-up between more power and a little bit more consistency. And that's really a personal decision on what you would like to do. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you guys found it helpful and informative.